but in your best estimation, do you think that the Buffs play more than one quarterback tomorrow?
I think they do, and I think it's because all quarterbacks will have a short leash on them. So I'm not sure if any of the guys are ready to be the full-time, we have 100% trust in you starter. So because of that, as soon as they run into some issues, there will be probably a quick hook on whoever it may be. So the Buffs find themselves in a difficult situation. We've all heard the football adage, if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one. Well, if you got three, you definitely don't have the guy.
Yeah.
So it's going to probably take some time to sort all this through. And I think one of the difficulties is each of the guys is a slightly different quarterback. So it's not just you're just sending another quarterback into the game where the game plan remains the same and the play calling remains the same. All those have to shift depending on who's under center.
Chad, I think Prime's got himself into a bit of a pretzel here for this reason. If Staub does really well, and you hope they win the game, then you got to wonder about the future of the young quarterback. Who knows? Maybe he's like, hey, maybe this is not my place. If Staub performs poorly and you replace him, now we're involved in that door where everybody walks in and walks right back out again. You don't know who the quarterback is. That's not a good place to be. Do you think how much of a leash, if you were running the show, how much of a leash do you give him? Do you pull him outside of first problem, or do you let him work through it?
And who are we talking about here? Staub
Talk about
or
Ryan
Lewis?
Staub. If he stars, we assume it's going to be Ryan Staub.
Well, obviously the program is expect or would want it to be Juju Lewis just because of the stature of the
Well, then
recruit.
start Juju Lewis. Then what are we doing here? If the program, if they recruited him to be the guy, let him be the guy. What are we waiting for?
Well, because then you could lose the locker room if you give a guy an opportunity because he gets NIL dollars and he because of the stature of recruit that he was versus a guy who everyone in the locker room has seen in practice may be better. No, I haven't seen all the practice, so I can't say if Ryan Staub is better or not, but that's the risk there. So to your point, the pretzel is very, very twisted for Coach Prime here. There's a lot of things he's got going on. Does he lose his locker room? Does he lose his number one recruit? Does he lose a football game? Which is more important to him? Which does he value the most?
Chad, that's such an awesome point. I can picture you guys, and there wasn't a lot of consternation back in your Buffs days, and there shouldn't have been. But I think with every football team on the defensive side, right? I'm sure you guys get together and go, why are they starting this guy when we know this other guy's better? You can't fool the room. Every other kid outside the quarterback room on that team, they want to win. They want to go to Houston and beat the Cougs. You can't fool guys as to who the better player is. And if you want to divide a room, you want to divide offenses and defenses and blah, 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 man, that's the way to do it. Play the guy who hasn't earned jack squat. Now, he may have a ton of talent. He may be the guy in the future. But if you're throwing him out there to get his ass kicked in Houston and Stabby's the better guy right now, every guy in that room is going to know it, are they not?
Yes, they will. And I've been a part of a few quarterback controversies in my time in football, none in college football. Obviously, Darian Hagan was
He's the man.
the starter at CU and maybe the greatest option quarterback of all time. But when I was in Seattle, we had Matt Hasselback and we had Trent Dilfer. And this was the year after Trent Dilfer won the Super Bowl with the Ravens. So from a defensive perspective, heck, he did the job good enough for the Ravens defense to win the Super Bowl. So we were all in favor of Trent. Not that Matt was a bad quarterback, but Matt was coming from Green Bay. And Matt still was working on getting all the Brett Favre out of his system. So he was putting the defense in bad spots. So when Mike Holmgren chose Matt, the whole defense was like, oh, here we go again. 2 turnovers, a bunch of risky plays. We're going to have to take the field, and our opponent's going to have the ball inside of our 30-yard line. It's already going to be a field goal situation. So we felt like we knew what that was going to come with. So for your point, Moj, the defense will know. The locker room will know. And for Coach Prime, who's already got a difficult situation, this would just add more toxicity to the mix.
Chad Brown with us. Game tonight, 5:30 on ESPN between Colorado and Houston. It doesn't feel like Houston's going to be a team that's competitive in the Big 12. They don't feel like they're an upper echelon team, maybe somewhere middle of the pack or less. They are favored in this game, though. They are favored by 4.5 as of right now. What do you think puts them as the favorites over the Buffs in the, I guess, the national scope?
Well, it's hard for me to, talk harshly about my Colorado Buffaloes, but let's not give the win against Delaware too much credit. It was Delaware, and your quarterback of choice, and this, feels like always the overhyped part of things. Now Ryan Staub is settling the starter because he played a couple good series against Delaware. Yeah, he looked good, but is that a fair sample size to be able to judge off of this? So while we may feel good about, hey, we got our quarterback, do we? Do we? Is that a good enough sample size? Is that really an accurate picture of who should be starting against a Big 12 schedule where there are literally 8 or 9 teams who are in the mix for the conference title? So that's why. Vegas is rarely wrong on these things. And unfortunately for the Buffaloes, I think what we saw against Delaware could be a bit more of a smoke show than an actual representation of who should be the quarterback and where this team accurately is compared against good Big 12 competition.
You cover a lot of college football. You watch the entire country at this game. Who's the best conference? Who do you think has the best conference in the game right now? Is the SEC or the Big Ten?
I think it's the Big Ten. I think it's the Big Ten. And I don't have a game this week. So as you guys all know, when you're working football, sometimes you don't get a chance to watch enough football. So this would be a great chance for me to really dive into Big Ten versus SEC. And then next week, I've got Illinois at Indiana, a Big Ten matchup. So it won't be necessarily the upper echelon of the Big Ten, but it'll be the Big Ten Tier 2, most likely winner there. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the second tier in the Big Ten looks like. I know I had Michigan, Oklahoma last week. Oklahoma's got a quarterback who has vaulted himself into the tops of the Heisman favorite candidacy. So
How did Mateer look in person?
He was quite impressive.
Yeah.
He was quite impressive. The ability for him to make plays with his legs, Michigan had zero, literally zero answers for that. On the planned quarterback runs where Michigan was able to have 10 Oklahoma blockers coming at them and Mateer was the runner, I think he probably gained 5 yards a clip, if not more than that. Throwing the ball, he had 3 or 4 throws he would want back, but I think he'll probably get better as the season goes along. But it's a very fair question, Vic. But I think right now I lean towards Big Ten.
But I love that you got that game because that's all of a sudden 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But Illinois and Indiana now is tasty, and I would say this: you put Belimo's team or you put Signetti's team in the Big 12 right now, either one of those teams, and they got to be a favorite to win the dang conference. Maybe we should look at the Big Ten and say that's how good this conference really is. Illinois is no joke. I watched them beat the snot out of what's-their-faces last weekend, and obviously Signetti says, yeah, I'm good. Look me up, right? These guys are playing good ball, Chad.
Yeah, Google them because they are playing.
Google them, exactly.
They are playing really good ball. And I think that the same thing that exists now between the Big 12 and the SEC and the Big 10 as existed in the past with the Pac-12. Where, yes, there are talented players in the conference and maybe some talented quarterbacks and a couple of talented skill position players. But the big difference between those conferences is the offense and defensive lines. Those lines for the Big 10 and the SEC are just levels above what the Big 12 has. And so that's always going to determine most football games in college football because now that gets to dictate the pace of the game, what you can run offensively, what your quarterback can do, all those kinds of things are going to be dictated by the play up front.
Chad Brown, you got one more, Vic? Go ahead.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Chad Brown joins us every single Friday leading into the Buffs game. Always appreciate the time, Chad. Thank you, buddy.
I appreciate it, guys. And just as an aside, I'm 55 years old, and there was an Eagles cover band playing here in Cherry Creek North last night. So it just brought me back to how far I have come from my teenage days in Southern California with NWA and Eazy-E to being 55 years old, going to an Eagles cover band last night
Have you
and
gone
having
soft?
a great time. Huh?
Pretty soon you're going to go to candlelight vigils with Mosier over there and do candles for Def Leppard. Is that what you did, Mosier? You take him along with
Chad,
you.
my wife and I went to a candlelight. It's like a 4-piece symphony doing all Fleetwood Mac songs, right?
Oh,
And
I did that in Arizona.
It was
They're awesome.
There was killer. Yeah.
I did the
Jesus.
Beatles version of that. So it was an hour
Yeah.
of Beatles tunes played by a classical quartet.
Yes.
It was
Did
a
you take your
great time.
Metamucil?
Oh, forgot.
Jesus, old man.
You know what?
I take my magnesium.
Listen,
I don't take Metamucil. I take magnesium. It's different.
Look how
Vic.
good he looks right now, Vic. I mean, he's still got it. So just chill out a little.
Hey, I ask this every year. Chad, every birthday you have, you attempt to dunk. Can you still dunk?
That part of my life is done, Vic. I stopped at 50 years old because I was afraid of blowing an Achilles or tearing the ACL on my dunk attempt. And I think it may have been you on my 50th birthday, my last dunk attempt. Said it looked like I was going to tear an Achilles. And I thought, I think Vic's on to something. So you were the one who discouraged me from this.
That's an athlete right there. If you could dunk up to 50 years of age, you could do something that most people can't all their lives. So congratulations,
no
Chad.
doubt.
Chad Brown joined us every single Friday. Thank you, Chad. Appreciate the time.
See you guys. See you next week.